You're listening to Trek FM.
Welcome to From There to Here, Trek FM's 50th Anniversary Rewatch project, where the hosts of the network get together and discuss for you all 729 episodes of the Star Trek franchise. And we pick them apart and we discover the messages, the morals, and the... Oh, wait, no, that's mission log. Sorry about that. Daniel, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. I think I have a sample of blood for you that totally came from me, Brandon. I promise. It's mine and no one else's.
I will take your word for it. Excellent. Just FedEx that to me if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally.
Excellent. Well, today we are talking about 2 episodes of Star Trek. We're talking about Alliances from Season 2 of Voyager and Crossfire from Deep Space Nine. And in Alliances, we get this episode where the Kazon, surprise, they're still around and they're still causing trouble, and Janeway decides that it's time to become their best friend.
Well, she doesn't really decide that. I think it's Chakotay's kind of insistence that she needs to do things differently that kind of pushes her into that. So
I'll start with you, just because then we have a better chance of starting with somebody who might have something positive to say about this episode.
Yeah, well, not really sure if I'm going to be able to help you out there. Alliances is not great. Listen, Kazon, man. It's just the Kazon. It's the Kazon curse, and every time they show up, I just don't care.
It's not a very good episode, and I know we have them a few more times still this season and stuff, but I'm just tired of this race. Like, they don't pose a good enough threat. They're just this terrible, terrible race, and I don't know, I think they're boring. But, I mean, the one cool thing that I think we get out of this is we start to get a plot thread with Michael Jonas's betrayal, and that starts in this episode, which is kind of neat.
And perhaps we'll see that in the next few days or two.
Yeah, and everybody says that Voyager is all episodic and they don't have anything that carries over, but this is a plot line that goes on for about 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah, yes, it is, and it is interesting to see it start so early because he's not like a super major character, but it's like, oh yeah, I remember this whole thing that happens, and so it's good to kind of go back and catch that up again.
Yeah, so we get this plot line about how the Kazon were used to be like this slave race for these people called the Tripp, and they overthrew them and stole all their starships, and now the Tripp are trying to convince Janeway that they want peace with them, and then it turns out that the Tripp are just trying to use this as an excuse to kill all the Kazon, which Janeway got all upset about, and Tuvok refers to Spock.
Oh, yep.
So he makes reference to the Klingon Peace Treaty in Star Trek VI, which is kind of neat. So
a great Vulcan, he says. And you know what? What on this rewatch, what kind of struck me is there are flavors of Star Trek Into Darkness in the ending scene with that ship coming up into the window and shooting a big conference room full of people. I was like, hey, Star Trek did that later on too. Of course, Star Trek's done so much that it's always done something it's already done, but that scene is actually very, very reminiscent of that scene in Into Darkness where Pika gets killed.
Yeah, but I don't know. Beyond that, I don't have much to say. I mean, it's Kazon, yay!
Yeah, and these trade people who were like the ones that apparently oppressed the Kazon, that turned them into the angry bad guys that they are. I don't know. I didn't buy it, and I don't know. It's yeah.
If you love this episode out there in the Babel Conference land, please tell us why. We just don't have a reason why we like it.
Yeah, it's tough.
So should we move on to Crossfire?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. Odo must face his feelings for Kira when she falls in love with First Minister Shigar, and which is her former resistance leader. What do you think of this episode?
Well, to answer your question, I think it's important to establish how people feel about the Kira and Odo relationship. I myself am kind of indifferent. I don't root for them. I don't root against them. It's kind of meh to me. So this entire episode hinges on whether or not you care about this stuff, and I don't really care that much about this stuff. So I don't think it's a bad episode by any means, but there is nothing else for you in this episode. I do like the Odo and Worf stuff a lot. I like how they kind of start to feel each other out, and obviously they have a lot of similarities in the way that they like to. I like their conversation about order. I thought that was funny and good. So I do like that stuff. And then, of course, I love the Odo and Quark stuff, which is kind of throughout the episode as well. Quark being very supportive without being supportive, of course, because they can't actually admit that they're in love with each other, even though they are. But the meat of the A-plot with the whole Kira stuff, I just kind of don't care about.
Yeah, I like this episode a lot. Like, there are no real relationships in the entire Star Trek franchise or anything really that I ship, like that term shipping. I don't care about Janeway and Chakotay. I don't really care that Odo and Kira got together. I don't care about Troy and Riker. Like all these relationships that are in Star Trek don't really matter to me because, me as a viewer, like I work with 7 women in my office and it's like there's no relationships going on there. Like why can't people just work together? And that's kind of how I see it. And it's like, well, we need love and drama. It's like, well, I'm married to a woman that doesn't work in my office. This woman's married to a guy that doesn't work in my, like, there's drama that can happen outside of the office that you can still use to tell in your story, and so but I love this episode, and I think this episode is really good, and I like seeing Odo this way because it is so different from who Odo is, like he's losing control completely, and Worf is just coming in and doing his job for him because he's so compromised at this point, and I think it's neat to watch. And that scene when he, we don't see it, but he just destroys his room, and that conversation that he has with Quark, like he couldn't have that conversation with anybody else. Where Quark's like, dude, you got to pull yourself together because you're noisy. You're banging on the floor, and I'm gonna register a complaint. But it's really interesting to watch, like this B plot of the Shigar. Somebody wants to try and assassinate Shigar is like so minimalized in the story, and it's like solved off screen by a different character and stuff. And I think it's fascinating that he's just failing so miserably at his job because of his feelings and what's going on.
You mentioned Shigar, and I was in the last From There to Here where we talked about the episode. I believe it's called Shigar.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And this is one of the things that Deep Space Nine does so wonderful is like, even though he's kind of, this is kind of important in the future as well, but he's kind of a minor character in this, but he just fits so well in this kind of larger story that he just comes in, you're familiar with his character, you're familiar with his story, and then he goes out afterwards. Of course, he comes back later on, but it was just, to me, it was just like, oh man, hey, I watched the other episode a few weeks ago with him. Here he is again. He'll show up again. It's just cool that, you gotta have that continuity and that kind of continuation of that story. Not that I have any particular. Shigar is kind of, he's okay. I don't really feel strongly about him one way or the other. Just cool to see him again, I guess.
Well, I think that's what's great about Deep Space Nine is that it's so rich with the secondary characters and these people that come back and these stories that are developed because we're in one location. Mm-hmm. And that's the appeal of Deep Space Nine to me is going to one planet and dealing with one culture and bringing that culture into the Federation and spending time with them rather than just going and exploring, let's say hello and now we'll leave and go to the next planet. That's what appeals to me about Deep Space Nine. And so we get all these reoccurring characters that are rich and flushed out, and it's really, really, really cool.
So what do you think? Was Quark telling the truth? Does he really just like to keep a baby monitor in Rom's room so he can hear him if he's breathing or not? Or do you think that was just a story?
I totally believe that.
Although
Rom loves his kids. Rom loves his boy.
So I'm trying to think of what else. There was a few other things I wanted to bring up. Like I said, I like the Worf Odo stuff. In the beginning, always loved seeing the dressed uniforms.
Although the Bajoran one's blue.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I don't ever remember seeing it before or after this, but it may come back. But it is weird, isn't it? It's just weird.
I think it's pretty cool. I think it's neat that it's like a completely different color, but I don't know, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it was odd. I love the TNG that era dress uniforms, the longer things. It's just good stuff. It's really good stuff.
But going back, so this does harken back to that season. I guess it's the season 3 episode, the Heart of Stone, which is when when Kira, quote unquote, it's actually the changeling, is in that rock. When Odo confesses his love for her, right? But so that's when we first found out about his feelings for her, and then they really have left it alone until now.
Yeah, I actually was on that episode as well. Yeah, it's like, and of course, it continues on all the way through season 7 and stuff. So through the end of the series, and I was half frustrated with the episode and half understanding, because I was like, just tell her, man. Like, but then I'm like, okay, I get it. Odo doesn't have necessarily the emotional maturity that an adult human should have. So I get it. Maybe that he doesn't know how to express it. But it's just frustrating. It's like, when you're a kid and you're watching these on-again, off-again relationships on TV, and you're like, this entire storyline could be completely fixed, resolved completely with one conversation.
Yeah.
And I was just frustrated with it. But, I understand why they were doing that, what they were doing. Yeah.
Now, for those that like Shigar, he does have some great stuff happen to him in the post-finale Deep Space Nine novels. So if you like, they did some really, really great stuff with him and his character for the quote-unquote season 8 in the books. So I definitely recommend checking that out with no spoilers here for you. So good job, S.D. Perry.
Interesting. That is very interesting.
Yeah, right on. Well, that's about all I got to say about these episodes. Is there anything else you want to add there, my friend?
No, I think I've said all that I can say about these episodes.
Well, where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter, @OneUpDan. That's the number 1, not the word.
And you can find me here on the network with new episodes of Melodic Treks, which is all about the music of Star Trek, as well as many episodes of From There to Here, our rewatch project. And you can find me on some recent episodes of The Ready Room. Well, join us again tomorrow as we finish off our block of episodes here with 2 absolutely wonderful and episodes of Voyager, Threshold, and Meld. I cannot wait to get there. In fact, I am going to be going to Warp 10 right now just so I can get to tomorrow.